Hey, what's up guys? Today's topic is the connection between building muscle as it relates to calories, your protein, and how they're so interconnected. I'll tell you what, if you don't have your calories on, if you don't have your protein on, chances are no matter what you do in the gym, you're probably not going to see results. Now, somebody had said to me earlier in a comment on TikTok, I believe, they said, hey Tom, why are you making things so complicated? All you got to do is never quit and you're going to build muscle. I'm like, dude, I wish it were that easy. If I could gain 3 to 4 pounds of lean muscle mass per year at this age, I'd be ecstatic. To put on 10, 12 pounds is not just like that. All you got to do is never quit. It doesn't quite work that way. Now, in order to build muscle, a lot of things have to happen. A lot of things have to be nailed down. So you're looking at your training, you're looking at your calories, you're looking at your protein, your recovery, your sleep, your level of stress. Everything across the board has to be a 9 out of 10 to provide this optimal environment to grow. But today's purpose, today's intent is to talk about specifically calories. So when I take on a client, one of the first questions I ask is, how many calories do you eat daily? The second question I ask is, what are your daily protein totals on average? And usually that person can't answer specifically either. I usually get a range. I usually get something like 160 to 180 grams of protein. Well, which one is it? 160 may not be enough for a person who's 200 pounds lean muscle mass, right? So I need specifics. And when I get specifics, then we can dial in and we can really monitor progress and see how they do. Same with calories. Somebody says, well, I eat between 2,000 and 2,500. That's a huge window. Again, how much specifically? So personally, I eat 2,167 calories on average daily over the course of 7 days. I'm very specific with this. And then if I want to see changes in my body, all I got to do is tweak the numbers a little bit, and I should see changes if all else stays the same. So that's the first step, knowing exactly where you're at. And the way I do that is I use a formula called the Mifflin-Gior formula. A lot of professional teams use this formula. A lot of trainers use this formula. You can go online, you can type in all the numbers. So you're going to type in your sex, your age, your body weight, your height, your activity levels, and that's going to give you a ballpark figure. Once you get that ballpark figure, then you have something to work with. And then over time, you monitor that progress over 2-3 weeks, and then fine tune, you dial in those calories, and you've nailed that one down. Protein, for me, it's usually 1 to 1.2 grams per pound of lean muscle mass. That seems to work for me. I've done lower, I've done like 160 grams of protein, and when the calories were right, I've put on muscle. There's times where I had 1.2 grams per pound of lean muscle mass, and I found that that worked even better. And there were times where I did like 250 grams plus of protein, and I found, that was a long time ago, and I found that I was just wasting it. I was wasting the protein. It was hard to consume, and I didn't notice any significant progress. So I don't think it's a good idea to overshoot, but I think it's really important to get the optimal amount that you need. And that's another number you need to figure out. There's certain people who are going to gain muscle on a caloric deficit. And usually those are the people who are very new to the sport, very new to weight training. They've never really trained before. We call them newbie gains. And I think anything you do to stimulate the muscle, you're going to see some changes. And very often, a person who's overweight and is in a caloric deficit is also going to see some muscle gain. They're also going to get a little bit leaner, and it's going to show in their body. So you take a person with an 18-inch arm, and then they lean down to a 16.5-inch arm, but because it looks leaner, it actually looks bigger and more muscular just because of the 3D nature of it. Reality is when you get into too far of a caloric deficit, you're going to lose muscle mass. That's just the way it is. The leaner you are and the bigger the caloric deficit, the worse it gets for somebody in terms of losing their lean muscle mass. You want to avoid that at all costs. It's easy to lose weight. Well, it's relatively easy to lose weight. It's so hard to put on muscle, especially as you get a bit older. So you do not want to fall into that trap. Personally, for me, I think somewhere between 250 to 500 calories deficit is more than enough. And just stretch it over extra weeks to get the desired look that you want. Now, as for training, when you have a situation when you have a caloric deficit, what you want to do is you want to bump up your protein a little bit more. I'm suggesting you're at that 1.0 to 1.2 grams per pound of lean muscle mass. You want to train strategically. You want to lower down the volume and you want to increase the intensity. You don't want to spend a lot of time in the gym. The moment you start doing 5-6 days a week and you're putting in an hour in the gym, what you're doing is you're burning a lot of energy with that workout, and in doing so, you're chipping away at your calories, and chances are you're probably breaking down your body as well. So in a caloric deficit, you want to strike hard, you want to strike efficiently, and then you want to back off and you want to let your muscles rest and potentially grow. Again, that's with a small deficit. A bigger deficit, you're not going to see any growth. So then your goal is to preserve your lean muscle mass. So let's get that clear. There's also people who will have a calorie neutral situation where, let's say they need 2,300 calories, and when they consume 2,300 calories, they're not going to gain nor lose. Now that person can gain muscle too, right? You don't need to necessarily be in a caloric surplus. The heavier you are, the more it's in your favor. The leaner you are in a caloric neutral situation, you run the risk of potentially losing muscle. So here are my 2 recommendations if you're in that category. You're happy with your body weight. Let's say your body weight is 190 pounds. You want to stay at 190, but you want to change your composition. You want to look a little leaner, and you also want to gain a bit more muscle. I raise my protein levels up 1 to 1.1 to 1.2 grams per pound of lean muscle mass. That's the first thing. Number 2, I pack my diet full of quality nutrients. And then number 3, I go more of a higher intensity, lower volume approach, strike strategically, create the stimulus, back off. So yes, you can make progress with a calorie neutral situation. And chances are you can also, if you're precise with things and you're training spot on, your protein spot on, and you got those quality nutrients, chances are you could get a little bit leaner and you could also get a little more muscular, and it's going to show really, really well. Scenario number 3 is the caloric surplus. So let's say you need 2,300 calories to maintain. My recommendation is bump it up by about 100 calories. Bump it up by about 15-20 extra grams of protein, the rest are the carbs and fats. And then strategically see what happens over the course of 2 weeks. Plus, I also like doing body fat pinches to find out exactly where you are. Now, here's the scenario. If you train hard and you have the right amount of protein, in this case, because you're in a surplus, you could probably get away with 1 gram per pound of lean muscle mass. But in this scenario, what you want to do is you want to train hard, you want to train efficiently, you want to rest your body. But what you want to do is after 2 weeks with that 100 extra calorie surplus, you want to do the body fat pinches, and what you want to do is tape measures and the scale weight. If you have gained a little bit of weight and your pinches stay the same and you notice your numbers getting better in terms of progression in the weight room, you've made progress. Congratulations. Keep what you're doing. The moment you've been meticulous with this process and you increase by 100 calories, you notice that you're still just as lean, you notice that your tape measures are ever so slightly better, and your numbers are progressing in the gym. Personally, what I would do is I would bump it up an extra 100 calories and see what happens. And then what you'll find is this. If you notice that you're progressing, your numbers are still going up in the gym, and your body fat pinches are the exact same, that's fantastic. You know you're making progress for sure. Right, because the numbers don't lie. And you notice the scale has gone up, nothing dramatic. There's a 0.4 pound increase over the course of 2 weeks. Chances are you put on some muscle. Congratulations. The big mistake people make is, let's say their baseline is 2,300 calories, and then they just shoot it right up to 3,000 calories. They notice they're getting a lot stronger. Over the course of 4 weeks, their lifts are through the roof because they're just bigger, they're eating more food. And what ends up happening is they gain 4-5 pounds. They feel really successful. Their muscles look bigger. Their body looks bigger. But what ends up happening is they've gained some body fat. And that's the scenario where you want to get a body fat reading. Because if your body fat percentage has gone from 10.3% to, let's say, 13% over the course of 2-3 weeks, you fucked up. Even though you look bigger, even though you're stronger in the gym, you fucked up. You've gained that extra weight. And I'll tell you why. When you do want to lean down back to 10.2% or whatever your goal is, chances are you're going to end up losing all of the gains that you made, and you're going to be back to square one. 9 times out of 10, I see this. People call it a dirty bulk. I like to be really strategic with things, really precise with things, really calculated, cerebral. And what you do is you just make those small increments. All right, so it's 100 calorie change. You notice no change in your body fat. then it's a 50 calorie increase, and then it's another 50. But again, treat this like a science. Right? You can wreck a recipe by adding too much of one thing. You can make it way too salty, you can make it way too sweet, and you fuck up the recipe entirely. It's the same with building muscle. You want to fuck up the recipe, go way above and beyond with the calories, and yeah, you see these short-term gains, but you're fatter, and when you do want to actually get down to the body weight that you want, you notice that you're right back to square one, and you defeated the purpose. So be measured, be calculated. It's worth the journey to be this way. Treat this like a science, because the science of bodybuilding is just that. It's a science. It's a science of numbers. It's a science of body fat pinches. It's a science of tape measures. It's about getting the calories correct, the protein correct. There's so many factors involved to be precise. That's why most people don't grow in the gym. Newbies grow, people on PEDs grow, and the smart, articulate people who are willing to persevere with a really calculated plan, those people make gains. So to conclude, you got to nail down your macros, and you also have to take a look at the goal that you've got for your program. Do you want to get leaner? And if you want to get leaner, you're going to do a deficit. And if you're going to go do a deficit, you're going to do a small deficit over time. I like, when I train competitors, I like to go with a 30-week window. I like to take our time. We lose body fat over the course of 20 weeks, and then we really start to dial in so that they're ready 4 weeks before the competition. And by the time they get down to 2 weeks, 1 week, they're already the most ripped person on the stage. They're full, they look amazing, they're not worn out. You want to look your best, especially bodybuilding. You put in so much money, so much time, blood, sweat, and tears into that endeavor. You want to do it right. You want to step on the stage as your best version of you. Now, for the person who doesn't necessarily want to compete, but they want to get bigger, I'll tell you right now, your lean muscle mass is one of your most prized possessions. You want to preserve it at all costs. So again, the way to do that is be meticulous with your numbers, be meticulous with your calories, your protein, and take your time with the endeavor. Take your time building the muscle. Be patient. Once you nail down your calories, once you nail down your protein, what you want to do is create a diet structure. You want to create a template of food. So usually what that is it's a couple breakfast options in the morning, a couple of lunch options, 3 or 4 dinner options, maybe 1 or 2 snack options. You want to put it on a template, you want to put it on your fridge, and you want to repeat those patterns on a regular basis. Take a look at Cristiano Ronaldo, you look at The Rock, you look at Tom Brady. They all look great. But part of the reason for that is they have that mundane template that they follow day in, day out. That's such a huge key to success. And I know it's boring. I'm a bit of a foodie. On Saturday, anything goes. But the other days of the week, I am a machine. I am meticulous, as are you. When you start seeing people making progress and getting gains, they go, man, I just stick with my plan. And when you stick with your plan, and that plan is so clear, get all your calories laid out, all your protein, good quality nutrients, and you just stick with that plan, you're so much better off. So there's something to be said about a template and sticking with that routine. Routine truly is king. As always, if you have any questions, I love answering questions. I love answering comments. I'm an open book. Any question you've got, please feel free to share. Please feel free to get on the Zoom call with me. Listen, I'm retired. I'm not out here to make money. I am out here to make a difference. This is my legacy. I love training. I love seeing people win. So please reach out, share your successes with me. I don't care if it's with another coach. I'd love to hear your successes, and let's all win together.